Lando Norris, a British Formula One driver you've probably seen driving around in his bright orange McLaren on your sports channel on a Sunday afternoon. But he's also a little bit of a marketing genius. But why? And how did he go from building a small lifestyle brand into building something of a gaming behemoth? Well, stick around as we're going to explore the fascinating story of Lando Norris's smart marketing and business strategies that he's used into building the gaming behemoth that is Quadrant. If you're new, welcome to the channel where we explore the creator economy and help you understand the business of creators beyond just the content creation part itself. And today we're diving into the world of Formula One to uncover how Lando, an F1 superstar, has cleverly been able to use his public image to build and grow his very own brand and company, Quadrant. Now, Lando entered the Formula One scene in 2019 and quickly gained a little bit of attention for his charismatic personality, his strong social media presence, and his undeniable talent on the track, even if the cars that he's been given have not necessarily matched that great talent. Now, he saw an opportunity to capitalize on his growing fan base and passion for streaming. So he founded this company, Quadrant, in 2020, initially as a little bit of a lifestyle merchandise brand. But he, of course, is a massive racing enthusiast and also an avid gamer. And he basically decided to combine these two different passions that he's got and decided to kind of shift the focus of Quadrant into creating a more gaming and content creation and esports company. And this was a little bit of a clever strategic move from Lando, to be honest, because the gaming industry has seen some pretty explosive growth over the last few years. When there was COVID, people were at home. What were they doing when they were furloughed or they didn't have much to do? Well, many of them turned to gaming as that kind of source of entertainment to help them get through the pandemic. And this allowed Quadrant to really tap into this broader creator economy and broader trend and shift within gaming. So some, but not all, of Lando's strategy has really been his ability to leverage his Formula One exposure and the fact that he's on, 100 different sports channels every weekend to promote Quadrant without having to spend a fortune on advertising. And he can achieve this by following some pretty crucial marketing principles. And they are personal branding, storytelling, and cross-platform promotion. And first, personal branding. Lando's built himself a very strong personal brand because he is authentic, he's relatable, and he's a little bit humorous. So this kind of personal brand has not only attracted fans to him and the McLaren team, but has also made him a little bit of a powerful influencer and has allowed him to build up his own kind of personal brand as a result. And I think a really nice, genuine aspect of this is it really comes across the love that he has for streaming and gaming. Like, this is kind of inherent and has kind of come along and has really been with him in the whole time that he's also been a Formula One driver, and way before that too. And when Lando was just starting out with Quadrant, he would actually regularly live stream on platforms like Twitch to really kind of share his personality, his passion for gaming, and also, demonstrate the skills that he actually does have as a gamer. Of course, it also helps that Formula One is also a game that can also be played on PlayStation or Xbox or PC or whatever. But, he also has skills just as a general gamer in addition to be a talented Formula One driver. And by interacting with viewers during these streams, Lando was able to build these kind of close, direct relationships with his fans and with his audience who, historically may have just sort of watched Formula One. Maybe they've watched the Drive to Survive Netflix series and got something of an understanding of him, but he's really lent into the fandom element by being able to build this strong kind of one-to-one personal connection with the fans through something like a live stream. And this kind of like relatability and genuine engagement that he had directly with fans fostered a really strong sense of loyalty between him and them, and then started to translate into some clever support for Quadrant and this kind of new brand he was building. And of course, he closely associates Quadrant in terms of the name and image to himself as the brand, which allows, of course, Quadrant to benefit from his credibility and fan base. So through this authentic connection with his audience, Lando's then turned these kind of followers, or these kind of maybe disengaged or just kind of static viewers, into actual fans of his, and ultimately now customers of this new company, Quadrant, which could also live on its own and not necessarily relying on him to kind of power the content or be featured on it all of the time. So the second part is, of course, storytelling. People love stories, and Lando's journey as a little bit of a driver and kind of an entrepreneur and a content creator provides this kind of really interesting narrative and behind the scenes look for fans to follow that maybe the conventional sport networks wouldn't necessarily cover. So, you know, this crucial element of Lando's storytelling is the kind of commitment that he has to transparency, this kind of behind the scenes look of his training, testing, practices, race, how he's kind of feeling before and after the race, obviously not necessarily during. Yeah, he frequently posts on social media about his day-to-day life, both on and off the track, and the things he's getting up to, you know, when he's not actually racing or testing or practicing or whatever is kind of involved within the kind of Formula One aspect, which then allows the fans to get this insight into him, witness the hard work, dedication that goes into being a Formula One driver, but also the kind of entrepreneurial, fun, social aspect of Lando's life too. This storytelling has then enabled him to kind of go one step further in terms of building real relationships with other, you know, Formula One drivers and other key figures in Formula One because they kind of want to engage with him. But he's also been able to really build within the kind of gaming communities that he's now kind of like featuring in, and by showing this kind of like genuine interaction with, you know, his peers and other drivers and other gamers within the communities, he's then been able to kind of humorize this behemoth and often glamorous world of motorsport and Formula One and kind of turn it into something that's a little bit more relatable, and then really integrating kind of gaming into that as like a core part of his strategy as well. And this kind of candid approach to sharing his life and relationships and behind the scenes has really enabled him to build like a real deep emotional connection between fans and Quadrant, and has then fostered this kind of like sense of trust, this sense of like relatability, despite the fact that, you know, he's driving a car that's worth like millions of pounds or whatever. You know, there's still some kind of element of like relatability or inspiration for the next generation, and that makes his fans, you know, feel more invested in not only Lando's and McLaren's success, but also the kind of Quadrant success as a channel as well. So yeah, this powerful storytelling has really enabled Lando to captivate his audience and strengthen the emotional bond that they have with him and this kind of company brand Quadrant that he's also building. And thirdly, the cross-platform promotion. Lando understands that he's got a constant presence across, you know, sport channels and like terrestrial TV, satellite TV, and Drive to Survive and all of that kind of stuff. But he's also building his own social media presence and cohesive brand image from like his perspective, like his opinion, his perspective, his kind of like look into kind of how he sees this kind of world. And he's obviously, you know, recognizing the kind of marketing concept of social proof and that kind of principle, and really incorporates that into his kind of promotion strategy, so he can really cleverly enhance the credibility and reach that himself and the Quadrant brand actually like is able to reach. And social proof refers to the phenomenon where people tend to follow or trust the actions, opinions, or choices of others, especially those that they admire or respect. And in Lando's case, he's leveraging the personal brand and the influence that he already has to provide social proof for Quadrant. And by frequently sharing Quadrant related content on his social media channels alongside, you know, other kind of lifestyle content, behind the scenes content, Formula One content on his Insta, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, he's kind of endorsing the brand and implicitly encouraging his fans to follow and engage with it by sharing kind of those clips or those pieces of content from the Quadrant brand. And I think Lando's interactions and collaborations with other influential figures within Formula One and within those gaming communities further like solidifies this and contributes to the social proof of the actual brand that he's trying to build. And I think as a kind of like a viewer or as a fan, when you see your favorite creator or celebrity or whoever like associating with Lando and this brand, it's going to reinforce the perception of Quadrant that it's like a valuable and reputable brand that's kind of worth their attention, their support, their time in actually like watching the content and engaging with it. And, you know, by doing that enough over time, he solidifies this brand as a thing that is not necessarily relying on him for the kind of long-term success of the brand. The brand here is not Lando Norris's channel, it's Lando Norris's kind of company that he's building, and Lando Norris is kind of like affiliated, connected, owning that company, but it also allows itself to sit on its own 2 feet, which is really important. But what does the expansion of Quadrant look like going forward? What's the kind of next step for the company? Well, I think one of the things that they've done really, really well is just this kind of ability to adapt and expand like super quickly, you know? They started as a lifestyle brand, but now Quadrant's been able to evolve into a gaming giant with a strong focus on the content creation stuff, the gaming stuff, the esports, and also doing some more collaborations. And one of the things that they've done quite recently, which is kind of a clever business decision, is establishing partnerships with other brands and also creators. So like a recent partnership that Quadrant did was with JBL, which you may know, who make those kind of like little amazing portable speakers and headphones. And you know, they're a pretty well-known company in the audio space. Quadrant partnered with JBL to kind of like co-create a set of gaming headsets and audio products, which is gonna appeal to the direct, you know, gamers and fans of Lando, whether they are playing F1 2023, whether they're playing Fortnite, or whether they're just watching a Formula 1 race, you know? All of these kind of things can directly appeal to them. So they've done a very clever job of matching audience need, interest, versus a product that could potentially be valuable and serve a need that that audience may actually have. And this is not the first collaboration that they've been working with. They've been working with Elgato, which is a massive name in the gaming industry, Gillette, Veloz, and SCUF. And all of these have allowed Quadrant to expand into new audiences, share expertise, and create some unique content and some unique partnership and collaboration. And now the brand is big enough, and Lando's kind of like helped kind of turbocharge the growth by featuring in a lot of the content in the early days to kind of really build it up. You know, it's now attracting talented gamers and creators to join the ranks and wanting to be part of the content too, which is further solidifying the brand within the position within the kind of like gaming industry. So they've been doing a real strong job of that, and now they're also kind of doing more innovation within the esports space. The brand recently established the Quadrant Halo esports team, which was named as the latest Halo Championship Series partner team. And you know, they're going shoulder to shoulder with the big boys here, like FaZe Clan, Optic Gaming, Cloud9. They're not messing about. So I think this kind of focus on innovation and esports, all within the kind of like gaming theme, has helped Quadrant to really further establish itself as a leader within this space. Lando's marketing expertise and personal brand has of course played a significant role in Quadrant's rapid growth, like him playing the Formula 1 2023 game and comparing that to how he did it in like a real life race is a great example of kind of the content that they've been doing. So he's leveraged this F1 exposure and successfully positioned Quadrant as this kind of credible and exciting brand, not only with gaming, but now also just with esports, you know, as an industry at large. So the use of personal branding, storytelling, and cross-platform promotion that Lando has done has not only increased the brand awareness, but also really fostered this loyal fan base that is much more invested in not just Lando, not just Formula 1, not just McLaren, but actually Quadrant's success as a kind of a company and the other creators that also create on the kind of Quadrant brand. And this marketing approach has allowed them to secure those valuable partnerships, those valuable collaborations, which have then further enhanced that reputation and reach. And then they've been able to really capitalize on the growing and booming gaming market that was, you know, brought about by COVID, and be able to expand their offerings, you know, introduce some kind of merchandise and further attract some top talent to the crew. But look, we can't all be Lando Norris, where we're streamed across, you know, millions of different devices every single week and constantly being shown up, you know, within Formula 1. So I think what's important for me when I was kind of looking at this and the value that I can provide to you is what can we actually share from this kind of like case, like what's kind of interesting for us. And I think there's 3 kind of key takeaways that I took from looking into this case, and I think just the success that Lando's been able to do. Number 1, authenticity. Like Lando's personal brand is built on him being authentic, relatable, and a really engaging personality. I think all of us, if we stay true to ourselves and what we're really interested and passionate about, we can connect with fans and create this genuine sense of, you know, trust and loyalty and understanding, which can translate translate to success with whatever we do. You know, I think for me, I was not necessarily always creating content that I was really sure was actually really an interesting thing for me or true to what I was interested in. Now I am, and I feel a lot better about it, and hopefully it comes across too. Second, leverage your unique strengths and passions and unfair advantages. You know, Lando's got this passion for racing and gaming that allowed him to create a brand that combines these interests in like a really unique and exciting way. And if you can really, you know, do like some reflection, I did like a 2-day personal retreat like last year, just, you know, no phone, no devices, no internet, to really just kind of like figure this out for me of what that was. But I think by kind of doing that and getting a real good understanding of what you do enjoy, you too can also carve out a certain niche or a certain area within the creator economy. And thirdly, I think just the value of cross promotion, collaboration, and also repurposing content across different platforms. You know, Lando already had like something of a following. It definitely grew with, you know, him just, you know, doing well in races and the Drive to Survive series, but promoting this kind of other brand and the other content that he was also producing and collaborating with other creators across different platforms has maximized the exposure and accelerated the growth. So I think any opportunities that you have to work with others, and if you have the ability to kind of cut up long form clips from your video and repurpose those into, you know, a Twitter thread or a clip on Instagram, or maybe like a LinkedIn carousel, if that makes sense for you and what you're trying to build, this is definitely something that, recognizing how Lando's done that quite successfully, if you have this ability and like a team behind you to do that, it's definitely worth doing. I even know like some creators who have like their own subreddits, for example, or just their own clips channel, where they'll have an editor who just finds random moments within their videos and just makes like an 8 to 15 second clip and puts it on a clips channel, because the fans will really engage with that. And often they'll create their own memes or GIFs as well, if that community is strong. So I think Lando and his team have been pretty clever at providing a pretty crucial role in Quadrant's rise from this kind of small lifestyle brand to something of a gaming giant. So by leveraging his F1 exposure, more so than potentially many of the other drivers do, as long as he still has, you know, somewhat of a focus on trying to win races for McLaren, but applying these kind of like smart kind of marketing and business principles, Lando's been able to build a successful brand that demonstrates the power of this authenticity, passion, and collaboration within the creator economy, and a brand that can also stand on its own 2 feet and not necessarily constantly rely on Lando as the kind of like content source for you know, ensuring that there is success on the channel. I hope this case study has been interesting for you and provided some valuable insights and inspiration for your own creator journey. It's definitely been really interesting for me, and I've definitely learned a few different things and just principles that I can apply for when, you know, maybe I'm trying to build my own kind of creator economy, and how I can use my own personal brand to kind of promote that in a kind of a clever way. So if you enjoyed this, definitely give it a thumbs up. I'm super interested to know whether you want to see more videos like this, so let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you're not already. Check out this video to watch next, and until next time, keep creating, keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the very next video. Thanks so much. Bye bye.